Hey guys, it's Shay. I'm back with another Kienbocks video. Now, this one has a very specific purpose. Hopefully, if I'm lucky. So basically, I just wanted to talk to you about a couple things. The main thing is that I mentioned in the other videos that I had stage 3B Kienbocks disease. For those of you who didn't watch all of my other videos or didn't watch the one where I talked about this, basically that meant that I was in my final stages before getting full-blown arthritis in my wrist and full-blown bone death, and most likely the common effect of all that is that I lose the use of my hand. It's early in the morning for me here. Anyways, so I would have not been able to get surgery. I would not have been able to have a hand, pretty much. Like, it would pretty much be just useless. And I'd be in excruciating pain forever. Anyway, so stage 3B or stage 3A and B are basically, you're pretty much in danger zone, you're in emergency zone. They are the ones where people don't recover the way that they would hope. A lot of people after surgery still end up having 80% use of their hands. But when you're in stage 3B, the chances of you having that high a success rate after your surgery and not being able to regain that much of your hand, because once you have surgery, you're pretty much at like a 50-50 odd of getting the use of your hand back, or at least the majority of the use. I was not as lucky. Sometimes I surprise myself, opening a jar here and there. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even think I had the strength for that. And I think in some ways I've increased the strength in my arm. So it seems like my hand has a lot of strength, but really it's just because I've worked out the muscle in my arm that I never had before. I have found ways of doing things that don't really involve my hand as much. I found alternate ways of opening and closing things and using things. So I think that I'm kind of tricking myself into thinking that I have strength when really I don't. Anyways, so the point of this video is a lot of you might not be going through the same type of life issues that I'm going through. But for those of you who are, you'll understand what I mean when I talk about this next topic. Now, a lot of you, because of how the different stages that we were diagnosed, a lot of you haven't experienced the diagnosis that or not diagnosis, but the classification, I would say, that you are now disabled. And I briefly touched on that in my other videos. It depends really. It depends on how much your new life situation impacts living and how you do your daily tasks and whether you can work and, taking care of yourself. For every disability, there's different even levels of that. There are some where you need assistance all the time. There are some where you can still live fairly independent, but you just have to alter how you do things. And, like for me, I'll give you an example. This is where I would actually like your guys' help. We need to raise awareness about the discrimination that happens for disabled people. Now, when you think of disabled, especially when it comes to public transit and parking and those kinds of things, when you think disabled, you think waist down. You think not able to walk, wheelchair, cane, walker, crutches. You think of people who need to be parked closer to a store because the walking distance is smaller. That's what you think when you think disabled. You think that, oh, I have to give up my seat to someone who's disabled because they can't stand, so they need to sit. But what people don't realize is there is no one way to be disabled. When you say to someone you're not disabled, I've had it happen to me many times actually. And the first thing I say to them, and I don't want to be rude, I don't want to and I don't want to give them my whole life. To be honest, they don't deserve to know my whole life. I don't know who they are. They're not really earning any respect points by questioning me and treating me like I don't deserve the assistance, which I do. And I don't think that it's really necessary to spend a lot of time explaining my life to somebody. So I simply ask them this one question: what does disabled look like? And I'll tell you 100% of the time, they can't answer me. Because we're conditioned to think that from the waist down is only disabled. But when you actually ask them and you question that thought, they realize that they can't explain it, because there are people with MS that don't look disabled because they haven't reached that stage in their disease where they are crippled with the inability to use part of their limbs. You can't say to that person that you're not disabled because they don't know what you deal with on a daily basis. So I'm going to try and do this in a couple parts because there's a lot to discuss. But basically what I'm trying to say is we need to raise awareness to people that when somebody uses public handicapped assistant devices, or for example, my situation is this, and I'm telling you right now, I'm warning anybody who's not okay with swearing, you're not going to want to hear this next bit of the video. And I'm just repeating what others have said to me. So part of living with Kienbocks, in many stages actually, in the early stages, even in my stage, we go through a period of time after recovery where our strength is very limited. Some of you get it back, or the majority of it back, and you're still able to do things that I could not do. One thing in particular is opening public doors in stores, malls, those kinds of things. Sometimes I'm lucky and I'm able to open the doors, and I'll be honest, I only have the disability in my right arm. However, it greatly affects my left arm because I have to overcompensate a lot of the time, so it's actually putting my left arm in pain. So a lot of times I will try to use my left hand, because I figure it has all of its strength. It hasn't been hindered in any way from surgery or disease, so I can open it with that door. But even with my left hand, I cannot do that in a lot of times, and I struggle. So definitely I would not be able to open a door with my right hand. And many times I stand there looking like an idiot, and I have to ask somebody, or I have to, kind of nonchalantly pretend that I'm looking at my phone and wait for somebody to walk in ahead of me so I can sneak in. And it's really, really frustrating, and especially when I make the decision to be like, you know what? They have created handicapped doors with a button for a reason. Because of people with wheelchairs, because of people with assistive devices. And you know what? People like me who cannot open that door otherwise. And I've used that door. I've used the button, and I walk in and I feel proud of myself, but I feel confident, and I'm happy that I did that, make that decision. Because I had to accept that, you know what? I need this door now. Before, the odd time you get your hands full, you use it because you need to. But you never really thought that I would actually have to use this. And now that I have, I've gotten a lot of discrimination because of it. I've had people call me a lazy bitch. I've had people that are older than me basically go off on me verbally and make it and say, you young people, you're fucking assholes. You have no respect for anyone else. You go and use this door because you're a bunch of lazy little shits. And I've literally had people call me countless names, and they've gone off on me. And the thing that makes me frustrated, and I'm actually going to continue the story in the next one, but the thing that makes me frustrated is that they have no problem walking through the door ahead of me after calling me all these names. So if I'm a lazy bitch and I'm all these names, what does that make you? Because I used it because I needed it, and you walked through it because you're an asshole. Now, I'm going to continue this story in the next video, but I want you guys to kind of think about that. We judge people way too quickly, and 9 times out of 10, we have no idea what their story is or what they're struggling with. And chances are, a lot of times we're wrong, and they actually are suffering with a great deal of things that we had no idea about. So anyways, I'm going to cut this short now, and then I'm going to continue in the next video. Thanks for listening.